Now in living color. Hi folks, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and part 4 of the 1/48 scale P-40F Warhawk by AMTERTL. In the last episode, I got the fuselage wings cleaned up and assembled. Got the bombs, drop tank assembled, installed the landing gear, the bomb racks, and the drop tank rack, and got the clear parts, masks, and ready for paint and installation. The first thing I need to do, I need to paint this part here, and I also need to paint these parts here behind these windows. So for that, I need to paint that using my top coat color. So according to the instructions, one is supposed to use radome tan. And I looked at that and it looked kind of weird to me. And I got to say that I am by no means, I'm not an expert or even close to any colors of any aircraft, but P-40s, especially in the desert, even worse. I mean, I just don't have a clue. So I sought the advice of my esteemed colleague Jim Deck, because he knows a lot about these aircraft and he's got some books and stuff like that. And yes, radome tan is kind of wrong. And after discussing with him, I kind of settled on equal portions of Tamiya XF 57 and 59, and that should give a pretty close color. We got desert yellow and buff, so that's what I'm going to try to spray this with. So again, I need to spray this here and this here before I can glue these on and then spray the rest. But I also need to spray this here, and that's just going to be black. So I'm going to whip up some paint. I've demonstrated how I spray paint, and it's just time lapses whenever I do it on videos. I did it for the cockpit, I believe, so I'm not going to do it again. If you want to see that, you'll have to watch, I think it's part 2 of this video series. Which, if I remember, I'll put a link at the end. But if you want to see me spraying something, you can do it there. It's not very exciting, I can assure you, but some people like to watch it. So anyway, I'm going to mix up some of this. I'm going to mix it up with MLT, Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, and get these two parts sprayed with this mix, spray that with black. Then I can come back, glue the canopy parts on, and move on. Alright, so with that painted, I can peel this paint off of here, or this tape. Then I'm going to have to touch up the lens here on the gun sight, and I'm going to have to touch up the front edge of that combing, or whatever you call it. And for that, I'm just going to use my sorry, AK Real Colors 3rd generation, or whatever it's called, rubber black. So should be fairly easy. Just got some on the brush here, run it along the edge like that. Like that. It's voila. All right. I'm also going to have to touch up the the inside edge of this here, because it will be visible even with this on here, especially this part here. So I'm just going to use the paint that I used for it, which was the aqueous interior green, and just going to brush that on there. If I can get the jar open, there we go. Just like that. So now I need to glue these on here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this clear part cement, excuse me, and window maker. And that should work pretty good, I'm thinking. I'm hoping. Because I don't, especially with the, now, I don't know if I mentioned it early on when I test fit these things, but they fit on here really well. So, considering the age of this kit, those things fit really good, and I'm kind of stoked. I'm really digging it. So, I'm going to use this stuff here, and the way I'm going to do it, though, is I'm not going to just, you know, squirt it all over the place, but I'm going to use one of these little deals here. Now, these right here, I have to say, these are very good for the bench because they come in a long tube pack. It's a bag, but it's all stacked. And they are super, super cheap. And you can get them any place that sells. I mean, you can get them at a lot of regular grocery stores. But you can also get them at restaurant supplies and stores that cater to restaurants. There's a particular one here in town that it's just a regular grocery store. Anybody can shop there. But they do cater to the food services industry. And in addition to just having regular food and stuff, they carry bulk stuff. But they also carry all kinds of supplies. And these things here are well worth the investment. You've seen them on my bench tons of times. You can use them for mixing paint. You can use them for, you know, putting your CA glue, this type of glue, anything. You can use them to mix, I think I said at the beginning, mixing paints. There's so many different uses for these things. And the nice part about them is they have this lip around them. They're totally stable. You know, you'd be really hard pressed to flip it over. And these are the unsung heroes of my modeling bench. That's all I gotta say. The unsung heroes. So, enough waxing gushy on the unsung hero, and let's move on to what I'm doing here. So I'm going to take some of this cement or glue or whatever, they're calling it cement, and I'm going to put some right here on the edge. Whoa, look at that, it's all bubbly like. Put some in there like that, and put the lid back on. And then, using this here toothpick slash cocktail stick slash whatever people call them in other parts of the world, I am going to put it right along the edge here like this. And the nice thing about it is it dries totally clear, and it's very smooth. And if you're careful, whenever you put the part in, if some of it oozes out the edges, it can just be wiped off with a damp cotton bud slash Q-tip slash earbud thing. Okay, so I'll demonstrate that. Okay, so we're all in place there. Then, excuse me folks, I'm getting over a bit of a head cold. Let's see, how am I going to do this? Let's get my tweezers. These are really fine pointed tweezers. Get it as close as possible to where it goes and drop it in place like that. And then taking said cotton bud and a little bit of distilled water. Does it have to be distilled? Nope. But I like distilled water for model stuff. Soak that baby up like that. Hold this thing in place and give it a swipe. And then another swipe to dry it off. Now there's an interesting thing. So keep this in mind, folks. If you ever use this stuff. It did remove that paint. And that's Tamiya paint. Oh, shnikes. Crikey. Well, that didn't work out the way I wanted. Let's try that again, shall we? Man, that's a bummer. So now I gotta wipe all that off. But it did, oh my goodness. Ah. Okay, folks, see, this is why this is the full disclosure channel. That messed that up pretty good. Should have held it in place. But this allows you to see that we all make weird mistakes, and also shows you how to clean them up. Okay, now I was going to say, notice I did not prime that, and that might have helped with the paint coming off. I didn't know this stuff would actually do that, but there you go. So I'll have to just make sure that's smooth when I get ready to paint it. But anyway, there's that part glued on. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and then we'll move on to the rest. All right, now I'm going to glue this part on, and I'm basically going to do the same thing. I think, however, on this part, I'm going to actually apply the adhesive to the the windscreen. And whenever I install this, I want to make sure that these back edges are lined up with these edges here. Just like this. Kinda shaky today. Trying to fill in this gap here along the bottom edge. Let's hope it works. All right, then let's try and wipe off the excess here. That looks pretty good. So we'll let that cure up really good, and then we'll install this and we'll be ready to move on with some paint. All right, here's where it sits. I fast forwarded a bit off camera, got everything glued on. This stuff doesn't fit as good as I thought it did. I mean, I don't know if I just couldn't see it in my lighting, but yeah. Not quite as good as I thought I did, but again, this is kind of a, I don't want to say an experiment, but kind of a precursor to building another one of these, and I'll kind of know a little bit better, a little bit more what to expect. But anyway, It's going fine. I've got the top color on, which, as I said, was a mix of Tamiya XF59 and XF57. 50-50 mix of that. And then that, in turn, a 50-50 mix of the color with Mr. Hobby leveling thinner. So I got the upper color sprayed. Now I need to do the bottom, but I need to tape it off first. I looked at some photos and it looks like it's a hard edge camo, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use some Tamiya tape, and I am going to tape it off. Now normally I spray the bottom first and then the top, but since this is my experimental aircraft, I decided to do it the opposite way, because I think it might be easier to tape up here than to tape down here without the tape getting all crinkled up and messed up. So I'm going to start doing that. And I'm going to have to do it off camera, but I'll get it started here. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, well, I've got this upper and lower completed. And then I've got the tips of the prop blades and the spinner. I've got those painted white for yellow to go over this and red to go over that, and white will make a good base, hopefully. So the next thing I'm going to do is using this Mr. Hobby Aqueous Olive Drab 1, which is USAF/Army aircraft. I'm going to paint these bombs. All right. I got the propeller tips sprayed. I got the spinner sprayed with the Tamiya XF7. And for this, I sprayed this drop tank with, it's the first time I've ever used this brand of paint, Mr. Color, and I used Super Silver, and I like the way it turned out. It's really smooth and sprayed on really well, so that's ready to go. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hand paint the yellow markings on the bombs, but before I do that, I am going to spray a clear coat on the aircraft itself to get ready for decals. All right, for my clear coat, I am going to use Model Master Acryl Gloss cut with Ultimate Airbrush Thinner. All right, so here it is, all clear coated and ready to go on to the next tasks, which will be detail painting, the landing gear, wheels, exhaust, machine guns, stuff like that. So I think this is a good point to call it quits on part 4 and get ready to move on to part 5. So next time on part 5, I'll be doing that detail painting, I'll be doing the decals, and start thinking about putting a final clear coat on it and wrapping this project up. So as always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and the AMTERTL 1/48 scale P-40F Warhawk. If you liked this video and you want to see more of this build or see some of my other builds, please hit the subscribe button. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.